God is up in heaven and watching us strive. And it's so hard, and groceries are so expensive. And, if you stay home like me, you feel like you pour into your kids and you pour in, and it just doesn't matter. Have you ever been there? Have you ever felt that way? And you're just crying out to God, and you're like, God, is this just a joke? So I was in that place, I'm like, what does God have? Like a bit, like this board game type of thing, and he's just watching me, and getting a kick out of it. And, I know that's not true. I know that hurts, because feeling like you're here by accident and like nothing you do matters. And so after I put the kids to bed that night, I came out here and I ate it. Like it wasn't even like I wanted it. I just ate it because I felt like I was giving up. Have you ever just felt like, as a mother, like nothing I do matters? And I felt today like I figured it out in church. I figured it out. Now, I don't even know if anybody is going to listen to this, but I'm just going to talk, and I'm going to wash my big stuff as I talk. And, if someone sees it, great. But, like the last couple days, I'm sure how God sees it is I was kind of like having a temper tantrum, but God lets us have those, But just feeling like, what is the point? What is the point of all of this? I'm a Christian, okay? Seriously. But have you ever had those moments where you're just like, what's the point? And I'm sure I'm sure I've been really influenced by politics, and I do know what's going on, and I've decided in the last couple of days I need to just turn stuff off. And maybe that's getting on me, but I go to the grocery store, I see how everything is, the prices of things. You buy like 30 things and it's $120, and I have a family of 6 kids. There's 2 of us adults, and Emerson's got it, my husband, but just feeling really down, and I've been doing this YouTube thing, and especially one of my other channels, like I had one video that really popped off, and and I thought, like, God, you're gonna make a way, and I, like, how stupid is that? Oh, I just splashed myself. Like, of course God will make a way. He always makes a way, but you think, well, maybe this is it, and it came right after I made a pledge to God to do missions. When I was younger, I told God that I told God, don't ask me to be a missionary because I won't do it. I'm just not cut for that. And I knew it even from a young age. And so I always expected that God would ask me that, because I said no. Usually He calls us to the things that we won't do. But He never did. And, and then all these years later, I make a, 1 second. Okay. I make a, there were some missionaries that came to our old church and basically said, someone's got to replace us eventually, or whatever. And I really felt the prompting in my heart, like, God, if there's no one else, I will go. And it was so interesting because I got to thinking about it, and I was like, I realized that God never asked. He never asked me. I told Him all those years ago never to ask, and He never did. He was such a gentleman, and here was I telling God that I would go. And so then that video popped off, and I thought that, well, this is going to be how God makes a way for us, My husband can't just take time off to go. And we found out that these missionaries actually only go for 2 weeks out of the year. And we're like, well, we can do that. But, it'd be really nice if God, did something really big to make that possible for us. And so He was even on board. And then when that video popped off, I thought, oh my goodness, like, because it was right after I prayed, you know, but it didn't happen. You know, the video plateaued and quit getting views. It got 85,000 views, and it got me like 170 subscribers on that channel, you know. But I thought, yeah, I don't know, you know how you can just get your hopes up, and well, then it plateaued. And so, I mean, I'm sure that is going into how I felt, you know. But then also just like the economy and just the way things are, you know. And I felt like I still kind of feel like, what, I mean, I know it's not true, but I feel like, does it even matter? You know, have you ever felt that way? Does it even matter? Does doing right matter? You know, have you ever read Ecclesiastes, when Song of Solomon, he wrote that chapter, and he's just saying everything is meaningless? You should go read it, because like, it sounds like he was going through this, you know, and we do go through that, right? You know, does this anything matter? You know, like, I do good, and then someone else will come along, and like, I'll die, and then no one will even know what I did. And, you know, maybe someone that I don't even, you know, like, I don't know. I can't even paraphrase, you know. But so I was kind of throwing this tantrum, like, going outside. So I was kind of throwing this tantrum, you know, just really hurt. And, you know, I had never done a video on this channel yet, but God has really brought me on a journey of, you know, seeking God for how to do things biblically and as a parent. And one thing that I kind of believed in was planting a tree in the midst of the garden. So I had a jar on the counter here with a candy bar in it, and kids weren't touching it. I wasn't touching it, you know, and I just really believed in that, you know, planting a tree in the midst of the garden and all of this. And well, a couple days ago, I was feeling so disheartened, you know. And so after I put the kids to bed that night, I came out here and I ate it. You know, like, it wasn't even like I wanted it. I just ate it because I felt like I was giving up, you know. Like, what does it even matter? Why does it even matter? So that was pretty sad that I did that, you know, and I was even crying, you know, after I ate it, you know, because it kind of symbolized giving up. And, you know, then like a day went by, and I'm just really struggling in my heart. This was yesterday. And then I was like, you know, I mean, all this, it feels like eternity, but really it's only a couple days, you know. I was just doing all this wrestling in my heart. And Elijah, go on outside, please.
I put it on my,
Huh?
I put it on my,
You put a load of clothes in?
No, I put, like, lotion on, and I put the glove on.
Well, you're going outside to play, though. Honey, I'm doing a video here.
Sorry.
Okay.
Well, now I know.
Well, now you know. Oh, he's going to be stopping by for strawberries. I don't know if he stopped by. They're outside. Dad said someone watch for him and run the strawberries out. He might have already done it. I'll get that soaking there. And so a day goes by, and this was yesterday, and I was really struggling. Like, does my life even matter? Like, God, is this just a big joke? Did you put us here on this earth just to get a big kick out of it and all of this? And I'm a Christian, okay? I know all the answers, okay? Like, I mean, I don't know all the answers, but I know the right answers. And I know the answer. Whatever you do, do it for the glory of God. You know, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all to the glory of God. I know that I know. But still, have you ever found yourself in that place where you're just like, man, this just feels like a joke? Like God is up in heaven and watching us strive, and it's so hard, and groceries are so expensive, and if you stay home like me, you feel like you pour into your kids and you pour in, and it just doesn't matter. Have you ever been there? Have you ever felt that way? And you're just crying out to God, and you're like, God, is this just a joke? So I was in that place, I'm like, what does God have? Like a bit, like this board game type of thing, and he's just watching me, and getting a kick out of it. And, I know that's not true, I know. And then last night there was a really bad storm. Well, no, back up before that, like I'm questioning, why would God even put me here? Like, why did he, just really questioning the sovereignty of God. That's what this whole thing is about. My whole story is that's my sin, is I tend to question the sovereignty of God. And so that's where I'm getting, but so I'm questioning, like, is my life an accident? And so then last night there was a storm, and we went outside, and I just saw the clouds rolling, and I was actually kind of scared. I had trouble sleeping last night because the wind was so high, but I was just standing out there and just thinking about, when Elijah prayed, like when he laid the offerings around Baal, and then he's calling on his gods, and then clouds appear, and then his God shows up and consumes the fire, and then a little bit later than that, the rain came. And so it's like my heart knows, but it's just my mind and just reality. And so I'm struggling last night to sleep, just tossing and turning and tossing and turning. And that's what I really struggled with. Like, I was talking to my mom last night, like, I can handle my life being chaotic. I can handle that. All the things that I do, I can handle that. But what really gets me is not feeling like I have purpose, and not realizing that God is good. That hurts, because feeling like you're here by accident, and like nothing you do matters, and I know we stay home as mothers, and I don't know if you stay home like I do, but I know that we can feel that way. We can just get overwhelmed, and we're in the thick of it and all that. And of course we're doing good work. We're raising little kids, so like this probably does sound like a big pity party, but I know exactly what you're feeling. I mean, I know, because I've been there. And you're not necessarily having a pity party, you're just really questioning life. And that's what hurt me more than anything. And then so I went to church today. I was singing, and of course I had taken a big long break from singing at church because my sister was having a baby. And then last week I got a hold of the worship pastor, and was like, oh, I can start singing next week. And I'm like, great, it has to be this Sunday. I'm not feeling worthy to sing. I mean, are you kidding? I don't feel worthy. And I slept really bad last night, but I still made it, and all of this. And it wasn't like this big hurrah moment that I had, but I was on my knees. It was the prayer that we usually have before worship. Like, we have practice, and then we do pre-service prayer, and I was on my knees. And like this morning I realized, like, I need to lead my heart. My heart is lying to me. My heart is desperately wicked. I need to lead my heart. And so that's what I'm doing. And I mean, I was doing better this morning. Maybe it was my yogurt, or maybe the fact that I had just gotten over my period. But I tell you, like, my body still doesn't seem back to normal yet after having Simon, my number 6 baby, and it's just like, this last period was really bad on me. But anyway, So, but I don't know if it's my yogurt that's doing better or if it's my husband who prayed for me, because I asked him earlier this morning while we were in bed. I was like, can you pray for me? And he did. And or maybe it's just all of it. So I'm sitting there on my knees and we're doing prayer. And I just kind of felt like, I'm always looking like at parenting my children through the lens of Father God, right? Well, I felt like God said, Danielle, you don't always tell your kids why you do what you do. He's like, I don't always tell my kids why I do what I do. Like this is the verse I was thinking about this morning. I was thinking about how can the clay say to the potter, why did you make me this way? Well, what I was saying to the potter was, why did you make me, period? Like, what's my purpose? All of this. And it's like, but the same applies. You can't say to the potter, the clay can't say to the potter, why did you make me? And I guess that's my big revelation, is that like God doesn't have to always tell us why he did something. All like for us, why he created us, why he's got us here toiling away. This is our curse. This is mankind's curse. And, he doesn't, we just have to trust that, like, well, he sent Jesus, he made a way, so he's got a good plan. And that's why, I get back to this verse early, like, I was really questioning the hand of God, like the sovereignty of God. As a parent, I don't always turn, like, take my baby, for example. I don't turn to my baby Simon, who is 9 months old, and explain to him everything. I don't turn to Sarah, who's 3 years old, and tell her everything. I don't tell my 5-year-old everything. I don't tell my 8, 10, or 11-year-old everything. Sometimes, like, I'm just the parent, and you don't know, I don't have to disclose everything. And it's, as parents, we have this holy divine work that we're given. Well, God is the first parent, and he doesn't have to tell us necessarily why. Is it hot up? So I don't know if that resonates with anyone, but if you're a mom and you feel like, what is the point? I'm just toiling and spinning, and God, why did you create me? And does my life have any purpose? Like, I totally get you. Like, it's not just feeling overwhelmed. It can be like this deep sadness where it's like, I get it, and I do really think like the world has been getting on me lately, and just, I haven't been taking thoughts captive the way I should. But also to add to that, like, God, he's your father, he's your parent, and sometimes our parents don't disclose everything. Like yes, we're here to honor God and bring glory to God, but when we go back to the original thing, why he created us, yes, he created us because he wanted relationship with creation. But you specifically, I don't know exactly what your name is, but my name is Danielle. Like, I created Danielle on purpose because I wanted to, because I love her, because I don't know exactly why. And so, but this is something else. As I told my husband this morning, I'm just going to take a break, and I don't know necessarily what my break looks like. Just a break from like spinning and toiling, and I'm just going to start sewing into my family, like, a lot. Like this morning, I got up and gave both of my younger two, Sarah and Simon, I gave both of them a bath, and I felt good. I felt better, and it's like, we're created to love and to serve. Jesus said, it is more blessed to give than to receive, and so, I can look at myself and see my selfishness in the issue. Like, I can see that I've made myself the center, you know, I mean, and that's not right. And so I'm repenting for that in church today. And, a couple of videos back, I did a video on Job and why God asks so many questions. And I landed kind of in that video with Job, how Job made God mad, Job was wrong for questioning the sovereignty of God, basically. He was like, God, why did you do this? And da-da-da. And then God just unleashes fury on him. But God ends up blessing him in the end because of Job's response. So and Job's response was, woe is me, like, I'm so sorry, I spoke of things that I don't know nothing about. Like me, for example, I've been having a pity party and speaking about things that I know nothing about. I was not there when God created me. Okay, when God thought that was a good idea. But I wasn't there, and so who am I to question him? I mean, go read the book of Job. That's just really good. And so I don't know if anyone's in the same place, but I just wanted you to know that I see you and I can relate to you. Comment down below. I hope that this can bless somebody.